the Cleveland Browns fan in me that grew up, with my team getting taken away and moved to Baltimore, and then it comes back. And I remember jumping up and down on Halloween on 1999 when Tim Couch fired a Hail Mary pass to Kevin Johnson in the end zone with time expiring at the Superdome so that the Browns got their first win ever as an expansion team. I remember that very clearly, and I remember going through all the stuff with all the different quarterbacks who have been on the back of that stupid jersey that was somewhere and hopefully is now retired somewhere, especially because Baker Mayfield has been consistent as the QB in the last few years. I mean, Kelly Holcomb was my favorite Browns quarterback growing up. All right, that tells you a lot. I still got a Kelly Holcomb jersey somewhere. So all of that being said, like on the field, when you are able to acquire an elite quarterback for what the Browns gave up, I mean, 3 first-round picks and a couple other mid-rounders, like, great, because that makes you so much better. I mean, if we don't, especially in the AFC now, my gosh, Mike, I mean, Buddy pointed this out to me. There are going to be 7 teams that make it to the postseason from the AFC. So one of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, and there's another guy. If I mentioned Josh Allen, Derek Carr. No, one of these guys is not going to make it to the postseason. At least. It's crazy. So you have to have a shot at least of making it to the postseason, let alone making it to the Super Bowl in the stacked AFC. So if that's the case, then yeah, on the field, of course, this is something that's kind of a no-brainer to do because it makes you competitive in that conference. And ultimately, the NFL is about winning. So that's why the Browns go and they make the move.
And it's not about this year. It's a 10-year proposition, if not longer. That's the other side of it, too. And I think that's one of the reasons why the teams that were pursuing Deshaun Watson were able to gloss over the 22 civil lawsuits, the PR hit. Those are all temporary. And I've harped on this all week. When Ben Roethlisberger went through his issue in Pittsburgh in 2010, the fans hated him. They wanted to run him out of town. The Steelers considered trading him. And then they went to the Super Bowl that year. And by 2011, it was in the process of being forgotten, and within a few years after that, it was forgotten. And by the time we had that night against the Browns, Week 17, the Monday night game, the last game ever at Heinz Field, and it felt like the clouds were going to be parted and Roethlisberger was going to be raised up to heaven. That's how, the vibe was that night. It was like it never happened. And I felt like I'm going to get dragged for simply mention the historical fact that this guy got suspended ultimately 4 games in 2010 for allegedly doing some pretty heinous things. So time will heal this. Time will make people forget it. And success will eventually lead to a point where it's not even a footnote in the final analysis of what Deshaun Watson does as a member of the Cleveland Browns. In the event that 10 years from now, Myles, we are both, number 1, still alive, and number 2, still doing this, we won't even remember to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, this was a pretty big deal 10 years ago. It'll be gone. It'll be forgotten, assuming that Deshaun Watson stays out of any and all trouble moving forward, and that's going to be part of the challenge as well. So that's why the Browns are doing it. And you're right about the AFC. I can't remember a time when there was this much imbalance between the two conferences, and we have seen a talent drain from the NFC to the AFC. And technically, this is kind of one. He was going to go to an NFC team. It was down to 2, and then he does the Grandpa Simpson gif, walks through the door, puts his hat on the rack, turns around, grabs his hat, and goes.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're the NFC right now, you say you're the Rams, you're the Bucks. This is probably why Brady decided, hey, I should actually come back. This is not too hard of a path to get me back to at least the divisional round, not the NFC championship game, if not the actual Super Bowl. Right? I mean, as long as they don't face the Rams, who seem to be their kryptonite since Brady's been there. But yeah, even if you're the Packers and you lost Devontae Adams, this is not necessarily going to be a cakewalk through the conference, but it certainly is a clearer path to get to Super Bowl 57 than it's going to be for any of these AFC teams to try to get there as well.
Let's take a look at the odds for the Browns, how they have changed in the wake of the decision of Deshaun Watson to head to Cleveland. Let's take a look at them. I'll see if they're in the sheets here. If we have a graphic, hopefully that'll be there too. Where are the odds? We're waiting for the updated odds. They should be arriving on the screen momentarily. My guess is that the wagers have already driven the action in the direction of the Browns. There it is. AFC North Championship before Watson plus 275, after Watson plus 140. AFC Championship plunges from plus 1,800 to plus 700, and the odds of winning the Super Bowl from a 33-1 long shot to a 14-1 anything can happen shot. So that shows you what happens. Upgrading from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson. It's why they wanted him, and now they have him, and we'll see. Even in that stacked conference, those are pretty impressive odds, Myles, for the Cleveland Browns.
No, sure, but I mean, this is why Deshaun Watson, aside from the money, this is why Deshaun Watson was probably interested in the Cleveland Browns. Because you have a situation where the roster is pretty much there aside from the QB, right? I mean, especially after they go out and they acquire Amari Cooper, I think we can anticipate the fact that, you know, if they didn't have Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson might be like, the OL is pretty good. They've got good tight end. Obviously, the running backs are great. But where's that key guy that I know I can throw to on third down? They've got that guy in Amari Cooper now, right? I mean, they've got one of the best pass rushers in the league on the other side in Myles Garrett. We'll see if they can bring back Jadeveon Clowney. I bet, getting Deshaun Watson certainly doesn't hurt in that proposition of trying to acquire him and get him to re-sign there. And, who knows if he's going to stay healthy or not. But the Browns now are one of these teams where you really do feel like they can compete. And if you're looking at the AFC North and you see Joe Burrow's on one team, Lamar Jackson's on another, Deshaun Watson's on another, I mean, that's a pretty stacked division. I mean, if you're looking at the top three in the AFC North and the AFC West, Mike, and we can say it's some combination of Mahomes and then Justin Herbert at the top, and you can say Russell Wilson or Derek Carr, whichever you want. I mean, which one are you taking there? Because those are three really, really good quarterbacks in each one of those divisions.
The Steelers were a team that some thought would make a move for Deshaun Watson. They have Brian Flores on the coaching staff. Flores was fixated, I'm told, on getting Watson to Miami at one point last year. And I thought as these teams started to come out of the woodwork, it would maybe draw others out. And once I saw the Browns were a potential landing spot for Deshaun Watson, I thought, boy, the Steelers had better take a closer look at this, because right now it's Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and Mitchell Trubisky. They better have a better plan than Mitchell Trubisky. It reminds me of that line from A Few Good Men. Please tell me their lawyer has not pinned their hopes to a phone bill. Mitchell Trubisky is that phone bill for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are going to be dialing very long distance from the bottom of the division, Myles, if they don't do something soon.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? I mean, is Jimmy Garoppolo make them that much better? Are you going to try to get Matt Ryan somehow? I mean, I don't really know what you do, at least for this year. You got to try to play really, really darn good defense with TJ Watt and try to wreck games with all these QBs, right? And then, win dirty. Not dirty like the Saints, guys got suspended for, but I'm saying like muddy, That's the way the Steelers play anyway. I just wanted to make it.
You won't be canceled for that.
I just wanted to make it.
You never know, though. You never know. I went through that a couple of years ago. You never know, but I think you're fine.
That's what I mean.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.